And for this week's political panel, we're very lucky to have the Washington Post's Bob Woodward to join us. And he is here along with the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg. Bob, I want to start with you. The president has said that the press is the enemy of the American people. You know something about that kind of language. What do you make about that?
The press is not that enemy, and the concern in the press is that we'll have secret government, that government does things that we should know about that we don't. And the judge who said it got it right. Democracies die in darkness. And so we're working against the darkness. Trump is right on some of these stories have been out of bounds. I think most of them have been quite good, and he's just going to have to learn that there are leaks and that there is criticism and so many things he's not going to like. And the key is to get the big things right. What's the policy in the Middle East going to be with Russia, with North Korea? What's he going to do with the economy, cybersecurity, counterterrorism? Those are the big issues. Press should be thinking about them, so should he.
Jeffrey, it's clear part of the White House strategy is to use the press as a foil, and we are right in there helping with that back and forth. How do you see that? On the other hand, the press as the enemy is a powerful statement. So how do you sort this through?
Look, we all know that anytime the president of the United States opens his mouth, it's newsworthy. So we have to report on his attacks on the press. On the other hand, we don't want to create a feeling like this is completely unprecedented. I mean, I'm going back to a story Bob knows. In 1973, Walter Cronkite told The Atlantic, he said that the Nixon White House very deliberately used the press as a foil to enhance its own credibility. This is a strategy that has some precedent in American history, and so we just have to keep our journalistic composure about this as we go forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Bob, let's talk about the president's press conference this week. You noticed something. Let's run a clip here quickly, and then I'll get your reaction to it.
North Korea. We'll take care of it, folks. What's going to happen when I'm dealing with really, really important subjects like North Korea? I don't have to tell you what I'm going to do in North Korea. Wait a minute.
So, Bob, what did you make of those three?
So 3 times. He's not asked once about North Korea, but he brings it up himself, saying, I don't have to tell. I'm clearly worried about leaks about North Korea, saying, hey, look, I'm going to take care of it, folks. This is on his mind, and rightly on his mind. I think President Obama told him North Korea is one of these things you really need to worry about, maybe at the top of the list. And so it's logical. And again, where Obama apparently said, I don't sleep because of North Korea. And it's quite logical because North Korea has a leader that's unstable and they have nuclear weapons.
Right. Jeffrey, what did you make of the press conference?
Well, I mean, it
77 minutes long. I know it's
after just arguing that, we have precedent for various aspects of the Trump administration. There are some things that are unprecedented, and this performance art that we see at these press conferences, at that press conference in particular, was quite striking. I think about this through the prism of how the world views us, and the world depends on our sobriety in a kind of way. People resent the United States and its global power, but they also are reassured in many ways by the presence of the United States and by a very stable, sober-minded person at the helm of the United States. And those kind of performances are actually quite unnerving, I think, to me, and they're quite unnerving to people around the world.
Bob, there have been two ends of the spectrum with respect to how President Trump is doing. On the one hand, there's the chaos idea, and then the other is the president saying a fine-tuned machine. Senator Graham kind of came down in the middle. He said on some big things he's doing just great, and then the other things are just kind of part of getting your legs underneath you. How do you see the first one?
I listened to Senator Graham, and I thought it was wise. I come down in the middle on this. There's some good things, some things that are not working, but we don't want in the media to set ourselves up as the opposition. I know Trump a little bit. I don't think he really believes that the press is the enemy of the people, frankly. And we have to do our reporting in a very aggressive, careful way. 10 months ago with Bob Costa, we interviewed Trump, and it was tough, and he came out and he said, well, it was fair and accurate. So I think you can be tough and fair and accurate.
And Jeffrey, there's a lot that Republicans like in what he's doing, not just the Supreme Court, but the Affordable Care Act, getting rid of regulations, and also in comprehensive tax reform.
Right, right. No, I mean, it's interesting in that in some ways, not giving political advice here, obviously, but in some ways they have a better story to tell than they are telling, and that's because in part because of these this personnel chaos that's going on, National Security Council in particular, but in part because level of unnecessary attack on the media, these statements about the independent judiciary that are quite troubling. If he would get out of his own way on occasion, you could see a plausible case to be made that he has something good to sell to the people, and obviously the base seems to continue to appreciate what he's doing.
They sure did in Florida yesterday. Bob, what is your view when we look back some years from now on the Michael Flynn saga? What should we take away?
I think there are many unanswered questions about it. I'm not sure why it was a firing offense, quite frankly. And 2.5 weeks before the inaugural, I met with Flynn and went through a number of things like Russia. And he made the case, said, look, we're going to have a two-track strategy. Reach out to Putin and at the same time build up our military in a way that Putin is going to hate. And it's going to be very tough. We have not seen that side of it, but so if there's some strategy in all of this, and I agree with Jeffrey on the economy, they have so many points they could make, and they're just not.
All right, I'm afraid we've run out of time. Bob, Jeffrey, thank you, both of you, and we'll be back in a moment.